If I choose to laugh, I take my power back. How comfortable you are with embarrassment is how comfortable you are with yourself. You can't really be the butt of the joke if you're also laughing too. We are so focused on how we are coming across. Don't you think everybody else is doing that too? Hi everybody, I am so excited to be sitting here with you this morning. I've had a little bit of a late start to my morning and it feels good to finally just get to sit down, relax, make this arrangement with you. Yes. Best way to start the day. I also have been getting over a cold the past few weeks, but then I got over it and I was fine. But now my sinuses are bothering me again. My voice has been very nasally the past few days, so I'm sorry if you can hear my stuffiness. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. It's bothering me a little bit though. So I wanted to chat with you today about something that I have been facing a lot recently, which is what made me think about it: embarrassment. It's something that we all feel. It really plays into humility and tests how serious we take ourselves. Going through humbling experiences can either help you take yourself a lot less seriously, or maybe it can do the opposite and you're just haunted by all the embarrassing things you've done and you just overthink how maybe you come across to other people. So I think that it can be used for good or maybe not so good. Embarrassment is not a pleasurable feeling. I don't think any of us enjoy feeling embarrassed. My face just gets so red when I get embarrassed. And sometimes I'll start getting embarrassed and my face will get red, and then I'll think about how red my face is getting, and then it will just keep getting more and more red, and then I'm on this spiral of just feeling humiliated and thinking about how others are perceiving me. Oh, it's a mess. And no matter how cool you think you are, I know that you felt the same way. I know you've been embarrassed. I know everyone has been embarrassed. Yeah, that's why I wanted to chat about it. I feel like it's a very universal feeling and emotion. It's a very self-focused emotion. We don't realize that not everybody is going to perceive whatever we're embarrassed about in the same way that we're perceiving it. We have some snapdragons, which are such a pretty color. These are gorgeous. I have not made an arrangement with snapdragons before, so I'm really excited. And then we have some ranunculus right here. They're kind of falling apart. Whoa, what is going on? He loves me not. Then we just have some greens to throw in there if need be. Let's see what we can do today. How comfortable you are with embarrassment is how comfortable you are with yourself, in my eyes. However I can move past embarrassment and sort of make peace with it measures how present I'm being or how confident I am. And like I said, we've all been tested with embarrassment. I know just how exhausting it is to try and look at yourself through the perspective of somebody else, like try and guess what everyone is thinking of you or how they might be perceiving you or whatever you're doing or whatever mistake you made. I came to a realization over the course of many years where I finally was just like, what if I didn't care about this? What if I realized that it's not my business how other people see me? It's my business how I view myself. Do I like myself? Let's start there. Do I respect myself? Becoming stable with yourself means something different for everybody, but realizing how much of an issue I had with embarrassment and how I was constantly so paranoid about how other people were viewing me or how I might be perceived showed me that I wasn't very comfortable with myself. I didn't feel stable in who I was. I was relying on everybody else to tell me who I was. I realized, okay, I don't actually have control over other people's opinions. Of course, it feels good to get praise and admiration, but I actually don't have control over that. And I actually don't have control over how anybody perceives me. Why don't I take all of this effort that I'm putting into trying to get in the head of others to see how I might be coming across into how I see myself? Everybody does things that are embarrassing. We're just talking about how to handle that embarrassment. Embarrassment is inevitable. That's going to happen to all of us. How do you recover from that? And I was not good at recovering from it because I didn't feel solid enough in who I was to be like, okay, you know what? That's okay. Let's have a little laugh with everybody else about this thing that I did and move on. I couldn't do that. I have a video about self-acceptance that I think really goes into this. It's more about neutral acceptance. Embarrassment has to do with becoming as neutral as possible. I think like if we hate ourselves through the embarrassment, that's just going to feel terrible and you're just never going to forget about the thing that you did that was so embarrassing. But then having this other approach of loving everything you do and having to be amazing at everything all the time, like those two extremes, that's not really going to work out either because like I said, embarrassment, mistakes, imperfection is inevitable. So sometimes maybe you don't love everything that you do, right? But it's about having that grounding and that acceptance in your perfections and in yourself as a whole. And that's where I feel like the true self-love and self-confidence comes in. But like I said, we've talked about that before. I'm just saying here, getting over embarrassment requires a bit of a neutral, accepting perspective of, you know what I just did is a little humiliating. Maybe I don't want to be perceived this way, but what can I do about it now? It's already happened. I need to move forward and make peace with the fact that I did it. Stability and how you feel about yourself is very vital to not letting embarrassment bog you down so hard. And it looks different for everybody. I'm not sure exactly what it is that you feel you need to work on in order to feel a bit more peaceful with yourself, or what you need to talk through or work through. But I know that moving in that direction of trying to accept yourself as a whole and find a bit more grace and forgiveness for yourself, it's a different journey for everybody. It means different things. But I know that once I saw, wow, this is exhausting to always care about what people are thinking about me, and I realized that I actually could put that energy into accepting myself and focusing on the things that made me feel good, moving towards the things that I cared about, and surrounding myself with people that I felt accepted and happy around. Why do I feel like I am such a loser right now after doing this embarrassing thing? Oh, okay, that's showing me maybe where I need to step up a little bit in my self-acceptance game, instead of wasting all this energy on, oh my God, that was so embarrassing, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid. Instead of wasting all the energy on kicking yourself and looking back on that embarrassing thing, shifting it to, all right, I clearly feel like I'm lacking something here. How can I help myself find peace in this area? Because I can't undo the embarrassing thing that I did, but how can I help myself not feel this level of lack again? Where can I kind of boost my confidence? What can I work on? What activities can I do? Who can I surround myself with? Who can I learn from? What practices can I do that will bring me some peace every day so that I don't feel like my whole world is upside down when I embarrass myself a little bit? Why are we taking ourselves so seriously? Why? Tell me why. I'm sorry. In my opinion, maybe some people won't like this, I think we all take ourselves way too seriously. And I think it's because we think that everybody else cares so much about how we're coming across. But really, everybody's just focused on themselves. And when they're focused on you, it's because they don't feel good about themselves. It's all about them. When people are hating on you and how you're coming across, it's just a projection of what they feel like they are also lacking or what they want more of, you know? Think about it, like the reason that we are so embarrassed when we do something embarrassing is because we are so focused on how we are coming across. Don't you think everybody else is doing that too? And it's just funny, like it makes me feel a bit better, like when I'm so caught up in my head of what I'm doing and how I'm doing this and how I look to other people and oh, why did I say that stupid joke and just all these things. I'm like, they're doing the same thing. And if they're trying to make you feel bad for whatever you did, then they are probably more embarrassed with themselves than you are in that moment. Like if you do something kind of silly or you're cringing at yourself, but you try to recover, you try to move on, you try to bring some joy to the next moment or do something else or move forward, and you do something embarrassing that's not hurting anybody, and someone tries to get you down about it and someone tries to point out what you did and oh, you're so embarrassing, you're so silly, they are embarrassed of themselves. There is no reason why somebody would try to make a person who is not causing any harm, who's trying to just move move on from the situation. There's no reason why somebody should be trying to make them more embarrassed and bully them or point out what they did that was so embarrassing. And unless they're feeling a bit down on themselves, they feel like they need to be lifted up and be like, oh wow, haha, at least I'm not that embarrassing. They're doing it to try to make themselves feel better. That's what I'm saying, is like everybody is just taking themselves too seriously in one way or another. Maybe it's from doing something embarrassing and overanalyzing it and feeling insecure, or people are being rude and judgmental unnecessarily and trying to act like they're so above you. They're taking themselves so seriously. Everybody is hyper-focused on what they're doing, what they're saying. We actually don't have any control over how other people perceive us. So why don't we learn to just laugh at ourselves a little bit? Like I said, it's inevitable. And that kind of just brings me peace of, oh my gosh, okay, people are always going to see me in a certain way. Whatever I'm doing, there's always going to be an opinion. There's always going to be a perspective. I can't control that. So why don't I just learn to laugh at myself? Learning to laugh at myself was the best thing I ever did. I truly cannot tell you how much peace and happiness not taking myself so seriously has brought me. It's not easy. Of course, if we do something that maybe we wouldn't want others to witness, it can be hard to just recover from that and laugh at ourselves and move on. It's so attractive when people don't take themselves so seriously. And you can tell when people are not so self-absorbed and aware and afraid of what other people are going to say. You can feel that kind of carefree, relaxing freedom about people who have decided that, you know what, life is embarrassing. I'm going to laugh at myself when something funny happens. Deciding to laugh at yourself instead of hate yourself is sometimes a bit more relieving than beating yourself up about something. I want to be around the people who don't take themselves so seriously. I want to be like that. Not taking yourself so seriously creates an illusion that maybe you don't do embarrassing things. Yes, embarrassing things might happen, but the way that you recover from it and handle it cuts you loose from all that excessive negativity. If somebody isn't taking themselves so seriously and life happens and something that maybe would be embarrassing to a lot of people happens to them, if they're able to just move forward and laugh at themselves and move on to the next situation, then there's really nothing to be embarrassed about. You decide what there is to be embarrassed about. If you do something embarrassing and you start making it a big deal and thinking about it and oh no, you're just digging a deeper and deeper hole for yourself to climb out of and for other people to look at you and be like, oh wow, she's really struggling. That's really embarrassing. Or you have the choice to laugh a little, to not take it so seriously, to focus on the next moment ahead. Brush it off. Don't try to hide it and you don't have to hide whatever you did, but moving past it with grace is a lot more powerful. If I did something embarrassing, then everybody was thinking that and I had to be thinking about it. But no, if I choose to laugh, I take my power back and I get to move on freely and peacefully. And if somebody else wants to have an issue with what I did that's so embarrassing, that's on them. I'm not going to carry that weight. I would rather laugh and have a good time. We can't always control the situation, but we can always control how we move forward and how we choose to perceive it. Let your recovery time be fast. Let it be. For example, I'm gonna be vague here, but I did something. I was talking to somebody who, in my head, I wanted them to take me quite seriously. I wanted to come across as somebody who really knew what they were talking about. I was having a serious discussion with somebody, and I spilled something on myself all over my crotch. And I was wearing something that it was very obvious that I had spilled this thing and I was having this important discussion. I don't think that it was that embarrassing to the person I was talking to, but it was, in my eyes, really humiliating. Of course, yes, it's not a big deal, but it's something that I knew that I would be thinking about later. Like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? And I immediately found myself disappointed when it happened. Like, oh God, why did I do that? I realized, like, I feel like we have a split second to turn it around and be like, okay, am I going to hate myself for this, or am I going to laugh here? Am I going to recover, or am I going to sit in it? What am I going to do? So I took that moment to recover fast. And I said, you know what? We're going to laugh here. We're going to bring the light to this situation and move on. I was like, oh my gosh, hee, can't believe I did that. Like, laughing about it, doing what I could. Let's clean it up a little bit. Okay, let's go. Let's move on. You don't need to necessarily brush this thing off and pretend it never happened, but allowing yourself to be lighthearted about it and to giggle about it and to just sort of be graceful with yourself, love yourself. Oh, you did that silly thing. Okay, what next? That is the sign of somebody who respects themselves. They're not going to burden themselves with how embarrassing this was. No, let's laugh. Let's have a good time and move to the next. How fast you're able to come back from it shows how comfortable you are with yourself and how you don't take yourself so seriously. And that's an admirable trait. Then we can be happy that the embarrassing thing happened, right? Because wow, look how great you recovered from it. You didn't let it stop you. You let it add to the situation. In my instance, I let it add to the rapport I was building with this person. And oh, haha. And I don't know how that person perceived that. They probably aren't even thinking about it. They probably don't even remember that it happened, because I was able to recover from it and move forward in a graceful manner. And that graceful way of going about it was just realizing, I'm gonna laugh. I'm not gonna take myself so seriously. It's not a big deal. I'm going to bring my focus that really wants to go here on the embarrassing thing that I did and focus onto the next part of the conversation, or the next thing that I can bring up, or maybe bring it back to what I was saying. Let's just move forward. Try not to dwell. I think the dwelling is where the misery comes from. If we all dwelled in every embarrassing thing that happened, we would all be depressed and humiliated 24/7. Like, I can't speak for the severity of whatever embarrassing thing is coming to your mind, but I think no matter what the embarrassing thing is, we can't really change what happened. That's why it's embarrassing, is you can't go back and do anything differently. This thing happened. It's causing embarrassment. We don't have control over what is now in the past. We do have control over what happens now. Why not gracefully move towards that with the attitude of, this happened, let's laugh about it. Or maybe you have to go in another room and cry about it. I don't know, whatever you have to do to move on from this and go to the next moment. Just remember, when your mind is threatening to dwell in this thing, that you could be using that to move forward from this thing that you really don't like that happened. Try to bring that focus to the things that you do want, and for the way that you want the interaction or the conversation to move forward. Try to bring the focus to that instead of dwelling in the thing that you don't like, or the thing that you hate that happened, that you wish you could take back. Dwelling there is just going to create more of that and just make that embarrassment more prominent, and like, it's just, you don't need that. This kind of goes back to what we were saying, but a situation is as serious as you make it. If you want it to be a big deal, hyper focus on it, dwell on it. If you don't want it to be a big deal, look forward. Bring that attention to the moment in front of you. I know that it might not feel like it because of other people's reactions, or like we said earlier, how people are trying to make you feel so embarrassed. You actually have control over how serious the situation is. Oh wow, I'm actually really happy with how this is turning out, guys. Ooh, this actually might be one of my favorites yet. Okay. I'm really in a process of my life where I am trying to shed my victim mentality, because once you decide that you're a victim to this life, everything is your worst enemy. And I think embarrassment is one of those things where you feel as though other people's reactions and response to you is what should control your dignity and how you feel about yourself. But at the end of the day, you are the one torturing yourself with that memory of that thing that was so embarrassing and beating yourself up over it, or feeling less because of it. And it's so much easier to blame it on the world around us, right? Because then it feels like something out of our control and we can't do anything about it. But it is possible to get to a point where you don't have to be the victim to other people's opinions or what they think about you or how they might be perceiving you. And I think a big part of that is what we talked about in the beginning of this video, realizing that it is, and what I talked about in my acceptance video of realizing that everybody is thinking about themselves all the time and everybody is projecting their own insecurities onto you. That has been a very liberating thing for me to realize that why would I waste my time caring so much about other people's opinions of me when I know that it actually doesn't really have anything to do with me. It more so has to do with themselves. Second of all, if I could choose to laugh and feel silly and happy and not carry all this weight of taking myself so seriously, why wouldn't I choose that? Why wouldn't I choose to let that baggage go and realize that I can't control how others are going to perceive me? All I can control is my own perception and feelings in this life. So why wouldn't I choose to just let go and feel lighter? I don't have to be dwelling on these things. I don't have to make this such a serious situation if I don't want to. Realizing that really changed the game for me. I know it's a lot easier said than done. I promise you, making that cutoff and making that mental switch and that decision to bring that focus towards how you want to move forward and how you can find a bit of peace and laughter about it is much more enjoyable than the weight and the exhaustion of caring so much about how others are going to perceive you. And the good news is the things that we think are so memorable and so embarrassing, and oh my gosh, people are probably thinking about this years and years and years later. No, they're not, because they have their own set of embarrassing things. Maybe somebody remembers it. Actually, oh my God, I'm thinking about, just for you guys, I'm going to tell you a secret story. I can think of something that I did that was really, really embarrassing. And I did it in a group of boys, and one of them was my boyfriend, and we were in a group. We were just sitting there, and I was really shy. Like, I just didn't really talk that much to these boys, and I was sitting with them, and I was already so aware of all of my actions. Like, I wasn't saying that much. I wasn't really like participating too much. And then in a moment of silence, I can't believe I'm telling the internet this story right now. In a moment of silence, I farted. Yep, I did. And I got so red and embarrassed that I ran to the other room and put my head in like the corner of the wall, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. And I was so human. I'm like tearing up thinking about it because it's funny. I'm not about to cry from sadness. It's just so hilarious. And I was like laughing, but I was also just like freaking out. Yeah, that was a hard thing to come back from. But over the years, I just realized that like, okay, yeah, those boys probably do remember that situation. But at the same time, I can't burden myself with the weight of this forever. I have to laugh about it. They were laughing about it in the other room. I need to laugh about it too so that I can move on. If anything, it was more embarrassing to run away and feel so embarrassed, like where I think if I was able to just sit there and get a little red and be like, oh my God, guys, that's actually really embarrassing. Haha, I can't believe I did that. What's next? Because we were like playing a board game. Laugh and move forward. Laugh and move forward. That's what I have been trying to do more recently in my life. And it has been freeing me of just the humiliation that I've felt about things in my past. And that situation, that was probably what, like 6 years ago, 5 years ago? I think it was like 5 years ago. And oh man, I still get embarrassed to this day thinking about it. But it's not as memorable to those boys as it is to me, is what I'm trying to say. They have their own list of things that were so embarrassing to them. That's not gonna just come to their head all the time. Where for me, like when I think of embarrassing things that I've done, that's where my mind will go. But for them, like they're reflecting on other things. People have their own set of embarrassing things that they're not gonna remember yours. And if they do, it's not gonna be the same way that you're remembering it. That's the good news. It really isn't as serious to others as it is to us. And if it is, that's their problem. It actually is very relieving to think about how obsessed everybody is with themselves, because it takes that weight off of, oh my God, yeah, like people aren't viewing me in the way that I'm viewing myself. And I don't have control over how they view me. I only have control over how I view myself. Am I gonna have that be a miserable process that is gonna exhaust me for forever, or am I going to have it be a fun, peaceful process? And just a warning, other people might not like the fact that you are so comfortable with yourself and that you can just move on from embarrassing things. I know I said this a little bit, but just, get ready for maybe some people trying to make you feel more embarrassed about that thing because they see maybe that you're not so fazed by it and that you can just laugh about it. They want you to feel not as good so they can feel better about themselves, and just don't listen. Figure out what makes you feel happy. That's what we're always talking about, isn't it? But what would bring you peace in the situation? Think about that. Would it bring you peace to continue to dwell on this thing, or is that giving you more anxiety, even bringing more attention to it in the first place? Or can you take the slightly unnatural, I know it's not really always natural to just laugh at ourselves, but it becomes easier, I promise. The more that you commit to just not taking yourself so seriously, the easier it becomes. And I promise that thing that you did that's so embarrassing that you're dwelling over, it's as serious as you want it to be. You can free yourself from it. You can move on. You can bring all that focus to the next moment and maybe use that as a lesson as to how you want to move forward. Maybe it's showing you that you need to build up that confidence a little bit. You need to feel a bit more stable in yourself so that you can laugh at yourself. Or maybe it's showing you that you don't want to be around a certain group of people. One of my friend's ex-boyfriends, he used to be so unhappy with himself that he would be so hyper aware of what would be embarrassing to other people just so he could point it out, just so that he could make that person feel really bad about themselves. And watch out for those people. They exist. And I found that being in environments like that with those types of people who are just waiting for something kind of embarrassing to happen to you so that they can make you feel worse about it, I learned that I cannot handle that. While I'm trying to feel good about myself, I don't want to be in environments like that. So maybe this embarrassing thing can actually be used as a tool to show us, what do we need? What do we need to feel a bit more peaceful when these things happen? Because like I said, they are inevitable. No matter how good you feel about yourself, life happens. You're gonna spill that drink on yourself. Maybe you'll fart in front of your boyfriend and his friends. Maybe you will stutter in a speech you're giving. Maybe you will trip in front of your whole school. I don't know. There are tons of things that could constantly be happening, but all we can really control is how we recover from them and how we choose to move forward. And I have found it to be a lot more enjoyable and peaceful when I'm able to just laugh at myself. You can't really be the butt of the joke if you're also laughing too. What I really want you guys to realize is that we have more power than we think. We don't have to be a victim to other people's opinions and embarrassing, not so great things happening to us. We can take our power back. We can laugh at it too. We can give ourselves enough grace to just move forward, and we don't have to be a victim to these situations. People are always gonna have something to say. But what do you have to say about yourself? Anyway, I think I am done with this arrangement. If we're able to use these embarrassing things as a lesson of humility and realize that we can't take ourselves so seriously, or we will constantly be the victim to life and its embarrassing moments, let's take it as an opportunity to humble ourselves a little bit and realize that everybody goes through these things and we don't have to be so miserable about it or hyper focus on it. We can let it go and free ourselves from that. And I wish us all luck moving through our more embarrassing, tough moments. And I know that you guys get it, and I am grateful that I'm not alone in these things or these embarrassing moments either. Yeah, guys, I am gonna show you my final arrangement here. Thank you so much for watching and for starting my morning with me here. There's nothing that I love more than chatting with you guys and doing this. So thank you for joining me. It means the world to me. I love you so much. So proud of you. And remember, we are on this journey together. Have an amazing rest of your morning, day, evening, and I will see you very soon. Bye.